Hey folks, it's Dustin with PosiRank.com. Welcome to this video about how to identify hidden on-site duplication in Google's index. This is a really handy technique I'm about to show you, so stick with me. I think you're going to enjoy it. This problem that I'm about to show you how to identify is one that you're going to need to fix manually. Now, we obviously love Yoast SEO around here. Alright, but Yoast SEO plugin won't identify these problems for you. This one is up to you to fix. Now, I'm going to show you how to identify them, and in other videos I'll show you how to fix those problems that you've been able to identify because of this method. What we're looking for here is duplicate content, both internal and external. And as you know by now, duplicate content, both forms of it, are absolute site killers. Okay, when you take care of this stuff, you're essentially taking off the dead weight on your site and allowing your site to perform better. It really transforms the ability of your site to perform in the search engines. This is best done by manually searching for large snippets of text in Google without quotation marks. We'd like to call this the snippet search method, or the SS method, as you'll see I refer to it later on. This thing is absolutely a necessity when dealing with your site because practically no one does this, right? It gives you a competitive advantage. This method is worth every second of your time, but admittedly it's laborious, right? This thing's going to take some time to do, and in my experience at least, the things that take the most amount of time often are the ones that make the biggest difference. When you're dealing with a site that's, 500 to 1,000 pages or more, this thing's gonna take quite a bit of time. Now you can outsource it, to somebody you trust. You're probably gonna have to train them on how to do this because not a lot of people even know how to do this themselves. The SS method will show you how Google sees that content, whether it's unique, duplicate, etc. It's vital for you to check this, even if you know you wrote the content on your site uniquely. We've seen on many occasions, it's happened to myself, where the content on my site was seen as scraped, even though it was original and unique and published by me for my site only. In the past, I've had cases where I wrote content myself with my own hands on a topic that I knew very well, published it on my site, and later on found that another site was ranking for it. And Google saw my site as the scraper site. Okay, it's been a long time since that's happened because of, thanks in most part to the techniques that we've been teaching throughout this course and throughout PosiRank. But it can happen, and this is going to help you identify that kind of stuff and stop it from happening in the future. Now, carrying on here, what about using tools? Right? How do we automate this or speed this up? Well, Copyscape.com will show you some data on this and can be used in conjunction, with the SS method. But tools really aren't going to get this job done. It's got to be done manually. Okay, Copyscape will not uncover the internal duplicate content issues, multiple pages using the same content, an example doorway pages. Those old school technique type pages where you could create a site that has a couple 100,000 pages on it, but all the content's essentially the same except with minor differences like changes in location, right? So you use one article across many different locations, changing just the geo modified keywords throughout the article and call it unique. Well, that doesn't fly today. Okay, that stuff used to work a long time ago. It doesn't work today, and this is going to help you uncover that kind of stuff and help you get rid of that from your site because that's absolutely holding your site back from ranking well. Do this on as many pages of your site as you can. It will tell you a ton about how Google is looking at your site and your content. Now, like I said, could take you quite a while to get this job done, especially if you got hundreds or thousands of pages. But I can't stress this enough. It's worth doing. You absolutely have to do this. Do it for as many pages on your site as you can stand, but at the very, very least, on the pages that you want to rank. Any page that you consider significant that you want in Google's search engine and ranking well, you need to perform the SS method. Okay? Now, don't take that as sort of a get out of jail free card. Okay? Because you have to perform this on as many as possible. Alright, so enough with the theory here. Let's jump over to a live screen. Let me show you an example of how the SS method works. Alright, let's take a look at a live example. We're on drnancye.com, and I found the site by searching Indianapolis chiropractor in Google. They were on page 5 or 6, something like that, and that tells you something right off the bat. They're not ranking too well, right? Now, let's scroll down and find some content on the page because I want to show you the snippet search method in action. What we want to do is highlight a paragraph of text, or around 4 to 5 sentences. And you'll see that these paragraphs are really small. There's only 2 sentences per paragraph. So that's not a whole lot. Let's take 2 of these here, 2 of these paragraphs, and search them in Google. Right click on the mouse and search in Google. Now we're going to scroll down. Before we examine the results, we're going to scroll down and repeat with the omitted results so we can see everything Google's got in the index for this snippet of content. Okay, so Dr. Nancy E is showing up number 1 for that snippet of content. That's really an ideal result. The ideal outcome of a snippet search is that your domain, the specific URL where you just took that snippet from, shows up number 1, and no other pages from that site show up below it. And if I scroll down here, you'll see that no other pages from Dr. Nancy E shows up. So that's good. You're in good shape. There's no internal duplicate content according to that snippet search. Now if we scroll down again and take a look, we've got that content on some external URLs, like this one here of Indiana. That's a question mark. We'll come back to that in a second. Airbits seems to be a directory. No big deal. I'm sure she doesn't own that one. It's a directory of some sort. She may not have any control whether there's her content's on that site or not. And these other sites also are directory related sites. So she doesn't own the other sites where the external content exists, so that's good. Now this site is a question mark because it's a chiropractor site in Indiana. Now when I took a look at this site, the red flags went up immediately because the design is very, very similar. In fact, it took me a minute, but I realized after a while the address is exactly the same. So what that tells me is Dr. Nancy talked to a slick talking SEO and had a couple of sites created so they could rank multiple sites for the same keyword phrase, right? Because there are a couple chiropractors in the same location here. They're probably working together. They own a practice together, something. Who knows? The point is that Dr. Nancy owns both of these sites. Now, as her consulting SEO, if I were her consulting SEO, I would tell her, hey, if you want both of these sites to rank for this keyword phrase, this content on the homepage has to be absolutely unique. And what they've done here is just use the same bit of content and swapped out different keywords, right? So instead of Dr. Nancy E, this is Dr. Sandra K. Cunningham. Okay, so it's sort of the lazy way out. They're not going to get both of these sites to rank for that keyword phrase. Now, if she didn't want to create unique content for this other site, I would tell her, hey, then you need to de-index that site altogether because it's absolutely going to impact whether or not your site ranks for that keyword phrase. Okay, so this site right here is a problem that needs to be switched up or de-indexed. Now these other sites, no big deal. We can ignore those because she doesn't own those sites. Alright, so let's go back here and do a second snippet search here. This really isn't a ton of content. It's not really enough. Why don't we just do this here. Search in Google and see what happens. Okay, Dr. Nancy E shows up number 1. And Airbits down here. This is a question mark because it's another chiropractor in Indianapolis. We'll take a look at that in just a second. And then you'll see these results here are not exact matches of that snippet. See how they look different from this result here? They've got a bunch of gray text. Just ignore those. They mean nothing. It just means Google's trying to find similar words in sites in the same market. They're just to be ignored. Okay, all we're concerned with are the results that have this exact same snippet of content in it. And take a look at this site real quick. Okay, now looks a little bit different. I'm unsure whether or not she owns this site, but there seems to be a similarity in content. Okay, so Dr. Nancy right here, Dr. Nancy's at least somehow related to the owners of this site, right? Maybe they're partners, who knows. The point is they're using the same content. That has to be changed. If they want both of these sites to rank for Indianapolis Chiropractor, that absolutely has to change. They need to go in, rewrite that content, or de-index it, or no index it altogether. Okay? So that's what needs to be done for that particular site. Now, let's move on to the next example. Now, I've got a locksmith here. Again, I found this locksmith on page 5, 6, 7, or 8. Searched Indianapolis locksmith. They came up. And we take a look at the home page here. Again, I'm not going to go into what constitutes a low quality page, but there's not a ton of content here. All right, there's barely a full paragraph's worth of content to do a snippet search, but let's just do a snippet search on what we have here. And we'll see AJ's Lock and Key shows number 1 for that snippet of content. Again, the ideal result. And we can say see AIHitData.com. They show up number 2. That's a directory type of site, and that's all that seems to show up for that snippet of content. Alright, so that's, again, an ideal result. If we go back and just do another quick snippet search, we'll search this little paragraph right here. And AJ's Lock and Keys, number 1. That's good. Very good results there. So AJ's doing pretty good with that content. Let's just go back here and look at another one of his important pages. Now again, I just looked at the home page for the chiropractor site and this site here. Your job as a professional SEO is, at bare minimum, go through every important page on your client's site or your site and do these snippet searches. Yes, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to reveal so much about how Google sees the content on your site. All right, so I'm just showing the home page and maybe 1 or 2 internal pages as an example. Your job is to go through every possible page you can go through on the site. Okay, so we're on this auto page here. Let's do a snippet search from this page, see what happens. AJ's Lock and Key shows number 1, and these results below are not exact matches of that snippet of content. This one is the closest. Merchant Circle is a directory site, but again, Google sees AJ's Lock and Key as the author of that content. So that's good news. Let's do another quick snippet search. Okay, great. AJ's Lock and Key number 1. All is looking good there. So AJ's doing not too shabby in terms of his snippet search results. He could use some help with the quality of the content on his pages. He needs a little bit more content there and some certain on-page factors, but that's not the scope of this video. Let's do another quick example here. Now I found this by searching Indianapolis SEO, webcoreinteractive.com. Again, deep in the SERPs. We take a look at the home page here, and we're seeing a common theme here. Not a ton of content on the homepage. We like to see 800 to 1,000 words minimum on the homepage. More is better. But these guys, a lot of these guys are 500 words or less, and that's really not good for the homepage. But let's grab a snippet and search it in Google. See what happens. Okay. So this is a good example. It's given us a nice little case study because, well, the home page showed up number 1. Yes, that's ideal. However, we can see that content is used on other pages within the site. You can see the URL here. I'm not real sure what's going on with this URL. Go to that page. Yeah, and it seems to be some weird development page on the back end, but it is indexed in Google. So we've got content that exists on the home page that exists on other pages. That's no good. That's internal duplicate content. So either this page needs to be no indexed, or they need to rewrite the content on this page or on the home page. Okay, and you can see again it's duplicated on other pages as well, so that's really not good. We've got it on an external URL here, and it doesn't appear that this external URL is owned by this site. It seems to be some sort of directory site. Oh no, Rankingham. No, this might be a service site. This could be possibly owned by them. All right, I don't really know. It's hard to know for sure. Maybe they just use this site to create a report, and that's why this content is showing up here. Um, but if they don't own the site, no big deal. Google sees them as the author, but they do have that internal duplicate content that needs to be taken care of. So you can see we've uncovered some things here that may not be immediately obvious to these website or webmasters, excuse me. So it's really important to do this snippet search on as many pages as possible. Let's do a second snippet search, just see what happens for this site. See what Google has indexed for this content. Okay, and again, we've got this second paragraph is also duplicated on other pages of the site. These, we're not worried about those results. Let's just go to the back of the index here and see if we need to repeat this, which we do. Yeah, similar results here. Okay, so again, internal duplicate content is no good. Very easy fix. Either rewrite the content if you want it to rank, or no index it altogether if you're not worried about it ranking. And obviously this content's on the home page, so we're going to rewrite the content on these other pages that show up, or no index them. So that's how we would deal with that. So again, very important to do this on your most important pages of your site, if not every single page of your site. Obviously, if you want to be as thorough and as effective as you can possibly be, you want to do this on absolutely every page to uncover any potential issues you might have. So this is going to help your site transform in the search engines if you have problems like this. You'll uncover them, you'll fix them, and your site will all of a sudden be able to rank better, rank faster, and you're going to get more out of the links that you build to the site, because it's not going to be hampered down by all these penalties because of these internal and external duplicate content issues. So let's pause the video and we'll go back to our presentation and recap this thing. Okay, here we are. Let's recap. What did we learn? First of all, the snippet search method consists of us grabbing a snippet, 4 to 5 lines of text from your most important pages, and search for this in Google without quotation marks. Does your site rank number 1? That's the big question. Do other sites rank for that content? If so, there's an issue. External duplicate content. And if so, you need to absolutely take action. Alright, let's recap this thing. What did we learn? First and foremost, the snippet search method. It consists of us grabbing a snippet of text, 4 to 5 lines, from your most important pages and searching this in Google without quotation marks. Now remember, we like to do multiple snippet searches per page. Does your site rank number 1? Do other sites rank number 1 for that content? If so, there's an issue. Okay, there's external duplicate content. That means Google sees the other site as the author of that content, and you need to take action. Are multiple pages of your site being returned? If so, that means you have internal duplicate content, which we talked about. Either rewrite or no index those pages. Do this on as many pages as possible. I've tried to stress this. I've said it several times. It'll tell you as much about your site in the eyes of Google as possible. So that's it, folks. I hope you found this snippet search method helpful. I encourage you to do this you're going to get a competitive advantage because not a lot of folks even know about this, let alone put the time in and effort in to accomplish this. Okay, so you're ahead of the game if you get this done. All right, that's it for this video. We'll see you on the next one.